The alien Princess Zara of the mighty Zalorian Empire stood alone on her balcony overlooking the capital city. Her long silver hair reflected the 3 moons that hung in the purple sky. The cool night air made her shiver, but she did not move to go inside. Her heart felt heavier than the ancient stones of the palace walls. The royal physicians had declared her barren earlier that day, a cruel fate for the last heir of her bloodline. The Zalorian people valued fertility above all else, and whispers of replacing her had already begun to spread throughout the palace. Zara touched the glowing markings on her arm, symbols of her royal heritage that stretched back 10,000 years. Her people were among the oldest and most powerful in the galaxy, ruling over 50 star systems with advanced technology that other species could only dream about. Yet for all their power, the Zalorians faced a crisis. Their birth rates had been declining for generations, and Zara, as the royal princess, was expected to lead by example. Her inability to produce an heir threatened not just her position, but the future of her entire species. The High Council would meet in 7 days to discuss her situation. Zara knew that many counselors already favored her cousin Drek for the throne. He was male, and though distant in the line of succession, he had already produced 2 offspring. His supporters would use her barrenness as the final proof that she was unfit to rule the Empire. Across the galaxy, on Earth, Kate Miller worked late in her laboratory. She was 32 years old with auburn hair, usually tied back in a practical ponytail, and eyes that changed from green to brown depending on the light. As a geneticist specializing in reproductive science, she had pioneered revolutionary treatments for infertility, but remained relatively unknown in her field. The big research companies had passed on her more experimental work, calling it too risky and ethically complicated. So Kate worked alone in a small lab funded by a modest grant from her university. That night, as Kate reviewed her latest test results, an unusual alert appeared on her computer screen. At first, she thought it was a prank from one of her colleagues. The message claimed to be from an alien species seeking contact with Earth scientists. Kate almost deleted it, but something made her hesitate. The message contained complex genetic sequences that matched no known Earth species, but demonstrated an understanding of DNA that surpassed current human knowledge. 3 days later, the world changed forever when the Zalorian scout ships appeared in the skies above major cities. They came in peace, seeking knowledge and cultural exchange. Kate watched the news reports with amazement as the 8-foot-tall, silver-skinned aliens met with world leaders. Their technology was centuries beyond anything humans had developed, yet they treated the people of Earth with respect. The aliens explained that they had been observing Earth for decades and were particularly interested in human medical advances. Kate was shocked when her name appeared on their list of scientists they wished to meet. Apparently, they had been monitoring her research and considered her work on genetic compatibility to be of special importance. 2 weeks later, Kate found herself aboard a shuttle heading toward the massive Zalorian mothership hovering above the Atlantic Ocean. 5 other scientists from around the world joined her, each specializing in different fields. Kate clutched her tablet containing all her research data as the shuttle docked with the alien vessel. She had never imagined that her work might have interstellar applications. The human delegation arrived at the Zalorian palace amid great ceremony after a journey through space that took only days thanks to the aliens' advanced propulsion systems. Though smaller and physically weaker than the towering aliens, the humans carried themselves with dignity. Kate noticed the princess, immediately, her royal markings glowing faintly beneath her translucent skin. When their eyes met, Kate felt a strange connection, a moment of recognition that made no logical sense. The royal palace was unlike anything Kate had ever seen. Towers of crystal and living metal stretched into the purple sky, while gardens of bioluminescent plants created patterns of light and shadow. The air smelled of spices and something like ozone. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth, making Kate feel almost buoyant as she walked. During the formal reception, Kate stood nervously as various royal officials greeted the human delegation. The aliens communicated through translation devices that converted their musical language into English, though polite, they seemed to be assessing the humans, deciding their worth. When Princess Zara approached, Kate felt her heart race. The princess was taller than the other Zalorians, with more elaborate markings that pulsed with blue light. Her silver hair fell to her waist and her eyes were deep violet. The princess spoke directly to Kate, asking questions about her research that revealed a deep understanding of genetic science. Kate explained her theories about compatibility between different genetic structures and how certain modifications could overcome reproductive barriers. The princess listened intently, occasionally nodding or asking for clarification. As they talked, Kate noticed other Zalorians watching their interaction with what seemed like disapproval. Later that night, after the reception ended, a royal guard appeared at the door of Kate's guest chamber. The 8-foot-tall warrior with battle scars across his metallic skin informed her that the princess requested a private audience. Kate followed the guard through winding corridors until they reached the royal wing of the palace. 2 more guards stood outside an ornate door but stepped aside as Kate approached. The princess' private chambers were surprisingly simple compared to the grandeur of the rest of the palace. The walls were lined with what appeared to be books and scientific instruments. A large window offered a view of the 3 moons. Princess Zara dismissed her attendants with a gesture and turned to face the human woman. "I need your help, Kate Miller." The princess said, her voice soft but filled with urgency. "My existence and the future of my people may depend on what you can do." Kate stood in silence, trying to process the princess' words. The royal chamber felt suddenly smaller as the gravity of the situation settled over her. The princess gestured toward 2 chairs near the window, and Kate sat down, her mind racing with questions. "I have been declared Barren," Zara said, her voice steady, though Kate could sense her pain. "This means I will lose my throne unless I can produce an heir. Our laws are ancient and unchangeable on this matter. The Zalorian Council believes that one who cannot create life should not rule over it." Kate listened as the princess explained Zalorian biology. The aliens reproduce through a complex process involving genetic material and energy transfer, rather than physical mating. Their reproductive systems had evolved to require specific energy wavelengths present during the alignment of their 3 moons, a cosmic event that occurred only twice per year. This had worked for millennia, but in recent centuries, fertility rates had declined dramatically. Throughout the Zalorian population, the princess' own genetic structure had mutated in a way that prevented successful reproduction, a condition that affected nearly 30% of young Zalorians. "I have seen your research," Kate Miller Zara continued. "You have discovered methods to overcome genetic barriers that our scientists consider impossible. Your approach is different from anything we have tried. Your understanding of adaptive genetics might be exactly what we need." Kate took a deep breath. "This is far beyond anything I have done before." She admitted, "I work with human genetics and occasionally other Earth species. The gap between human and Zalorian biology must be enormous." The princess reached for a crystal device on a nearby table. When she activated it, a 3-dimensional projection appeared showing the double helix of human DNA beside the more complex spiral structure of Zalorian genetic material. Despite the obvious differences, Kate was surprised to see similarities in the basic building blocks. "Our scientists have been studying human biology since we first discovered your planet," Zara explained. "We believe there are compatibility points that could be leveraged with the right approach. Our reproductive technology is advanced, but we have become too specialized, unable to see new possibilities. Your fresh perspective could be valuable." Kate studied the projection, noticing patterns and potential connection points. Her mind began to work on the problem automatically, as it always did when faced with an interesting scientific challenge. "Is this why you brought humans to your world?" she asked. "To help with your fertility crisis." "Not exactly," the princess replied. "Most of your delegation was invited for diplomatic reasons and to share knowledge in various fields. You were selected specifically because I saw potential in your research, but only the High Council knows about my condition. If they discover I brought you here to help me, they would see it as weakness. My cousin Drek already has supporters who wish to see him take the throne." Kate spent the next 2 hours discussing the problem with Zara. The princess' knowledge of genetics was impressive, though approached from a different conceptual framework than Earth science. By the time Kate returned to her guest quarters, her mind was overflowing with ideas and possibilities. She fell asleep thinking about genetic bridges and molecular adaptations. The next morning, Kate was escorted to a private laboratory. Within the palace, a team of Zalorian scientists awaited her. but it became clear they were there to assist, not lead. The princess had given Kate full authority to direct the research. The alien scientists seemed skeptical of the human at first, but Kate quickly demonstrated her expertise. Their respect grew as they realized she understood concepts that had eluded them. Kate worked tirelessly day after day. The challenge was immense, but she found the Zalorian technology amazing, allowing her to test theories and run simulations that would have taken months on Earth. The princess visited daily at first to check on progress, but soon the two women began sharing stories of their worlds. Kate told Zara about growing up on a small farm in Nebraska, while Zara shared tales of royal life and the weight of her responsibilities. Weeks passed. Kate and Zara developed a friendship that transcended their different backgrounds. They found common ground in their dedication to science and their sense of duty to their people. Kate learned that despite her royal status, Zara had trained as a scientist before taking on more ceremonial duties. The princess' quick mind and genuine curiosity made their conversations engaging, and Kate found herself looking forward to their time together. The breakthrough came during the third week. Kate discovered that certain human genetic sequences could serve as a template to repair the damaged portions of Zalorian reproductive code. The solution would not be pure Zalorian, but a hybrid approach using elements of both species' genetic material. This would be controversial, she knew, but it might be the only option. When Kate presented her findings to Zara, the princess remained silent for a long moment, her violet eyes unreadable. "You are suggesting we combine human and Zalorian genetic material," she said. "Finally. This has never been done before. Our people consider our genetic lineage sacred, especially the royal bloodline." "I understand," Kate replied. "But from what I can determine, this is the only viable solution. The damaged sequences in your reproductive system cannot be repaired with purely Zalorian genetic material. You need the adaptability that human DNA provides." Zara turned to look out the window. The first moon was rising, casting a blue glow across her silver skin. "What you suggest would create a child that is not fully Zalorian," she said softly. "A hybrid. The first of its kind." "Yes," Kate acknowledged. "Such a child would be unique. But the human genetic contribution would be minimal, focusing only on the reproductive viability. The child would still be mostly Zalorian in appearance and biology, just enhanced with human adaptability." The princess was quiet again, considering the implications. "If I agree to this," she said finally, "there will be consequences. The royal bloodline has remained pure for 10,000 years. Some will view this as contamination, as betrayal of our heritage, and others might see it as evolution, as strength," Kate suggested. "Sometimes genetic diversity is exactly what a species needs to survive." The days that followed were tense, as Kate refined her approach, and Zara considered the decision. The High Council meeting was approaching, and the princess needed to show progress or face the prospect of losing her throne. Kate found herself working around the clock, stopping only when exhaustion overtook her. The Zalorian scientists who had initially doubted her now followed her lead. Recognizing the brilliance of her approach one evening as Kate was reviewing test results, the laboratory door opened and Zara entered alone. Without her royal guards or attendants, she seemed different, more vulnerable. The princess sat beside Kate, and for a long moment neither spoke. "I have made my decision," Zara said finally. "I will proceed with your treatment, Kate. Whatever the consequences may be, I believe this is the right path, not just for me but for my people. We have been stagnant for too long, clinging to tradition while our population declines. Perhaps this is exactly the change we need." Kate felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. This was far beyond anything she had imagined when she began her research on Earth, but looking at Zara, she knew she could not turn back now. They would face whatever came together. The princess reached out and took Kate's hand, a gesture that surprised the human. Their fingers intertwined, Zalorian and human, a physical connection that mirrored what they were attempting genetically. "We begin tomorrow," Zara said. "The alignment of the second moon provides the energy patterns we need for the first stage." Kate nodded. feeling a strange mixture of scientific excitement and personal concern. "We will make history," she said softly, "one way or another." As the 5th month of pregnancy began, the political situation grew increasingly unstable. Reports reached the palace of protests in distant provinces, where conservative Zalorians demanded that the princess step down. Some religious leaders declared the hybrid child an abomination, while scientists and younger Zalorians defended the approach as necessary. Evolution Zara maintained her public appearances, despite the controversy, showing strength and determination. Her growing belly visible beneath, her royal robes became a powerful symbol both loved and hated throughout the Empire. Kate found herself thrust into the center of interstellar politics. The Earth delegation eventually accepted her explanation of events, but insisted she provide complete documentation of the procedure. The humans were both concerned and intrigued by the implications of successful cross-species genetics. While the diplomats negotiated formal agreements, scientists from both worlds began cautious collaborations, exploring the possibilities that Kate's breakthrough had revealed one evening. As Kate worked in her laboratory recording the latest test results from the princess medical scans, an alarm sounded throughout the palace. Red lights flashed, and Zalorian guards rushed through the corridors. Kate heard distant sounds of energy weapons and shouting. Her own guards burst into the lab, weapons drawn. Their leader, a female warrior named Vex, spoke urgently. "Rebels have infiltrated the palace," she said. "They are targeting the princess and you. We must move now." Kate gathered her most essential data and followed the guards through hidden passages built into the palace walls. Her heart raced as she heard fighting nearby. The rebellion that had been brewing for months had finally erupted into violence. They reached a secure chamber deep within the palace where they found Zara, already waiting with her personal security force. The princess appeared calm, but Kate could see the worry in her violet eyes. "The rebels are led by Drek," Zara explained. "They claim I have violated sacred law by creating a hybrid child. They seek to end my pregnancy and place my cousin on the throne." Kate felt cold fear at these words. "Is there somewhere safer we can go?" she asked. "The palace seems compromised." Zara nodded. "We have a secure facility in the mountains. The royal guard is preparing transport now. We leave as soon as possible." Before they could move, however, the chamber shook with a powerful explosion. The main door cracked but held as smoke filled the corridor outside. The rebels were getting closer. Kate helped Zara to a corner of the room furthest from the door, while guards took defensive positions. A medical officer monitored the princess, vital signs ensuring the child remained unharmed despite the stress. The attack continued for hours. The rebel forces seemed well organized and determined. The loyal guards fought bravely but were gradually pushed back toward the inner chamber. Kate watched in horror as one by one the defenders fell. When the main door finally breached, a dozen rebels stormed in, led by a tall Zalorian male with elaborate facial markings. Kate recognized him from official functions. Drek, Zara's cousin and rival for the throne. The remaining guards formed a protective circle around Zara and Kate, but they were outnumbered. Drek approached, his expression cold and contemptuous. "Cousin," he said to Zara, "this madness ends now. You have betrayed our people by mixing our sacred genetics with a lesser species. Your child cannot be allowed to live or take the throne." Zara stood tall despite her pregnancy, her royal markings glowing with anger. "Our people are dying." "Drek," she replied, "our birth rates fall with each generation. The old ways are leading us to extinction. I chose to find a new path." Drek laughed, a harsh sound. "You chose to contaminate our bloodline with human genetics," he said, gesturing toward Kate with disgust. "You allowed this creature to alter what should remain pure. The council was weak to accept your abomination, but the people will not." As he spoke, the rebel forces spread through the chamber surrounding the small group of defenders. Kate felt a surge of protective instinct toward Zara and the unborn child they had created together. She stepped forward, facing Drek directly, though he towered over her. "This child represents the future," she said firmly. "A future where both our species can benefit from shared knowledge. The genetic modifications I created We'll save Zalorian reproductive capabilities while maintaining your essential nature. You call it contamination. I call it salvation, Drex. Face, twisted with rage. He raised his weapon, pointing it at Kate. This human speaks of matters beyond her understanding, he snarled. She has poisoned your mind, Zara. With her primitive science, she must be eliminated. Everything happened quickly. Drek fired his weapon. Kate saw the blast of energy coming toward her, but could not move fast enough. Then suddenly Zara was there, pushing Kate aside. The energy beam struck the princess in the shoulder, sending her crashing to the floor. Kate screamed as guards returned fire. The chamber filled with energy blasts and shouting in the chaos. Kate crawled to Zara. The princess was conscious but injured, silver blood flowing from her wound. Kate pressed her hands against it, trying to stop the bleeding. The medical officer rushed to help, applying emergency treatment, while the battle raged around them. Despite her injury, Zara managed to activate a communication device hidden in her robes. She spoke rapid commands in the Zalorian language. Moments later, the chamber filled with blinding light. Kate felt herself being transported, her molecules disassembling and reassembling. In an instant, when her vision cleared, she found herself in a different facility with Zara and a few loyal guards. The Princess emergency transport system had saved them. The secure mountain facility was built into the side of a massive peak far from the capital. Medical staff immediately took charge of Zara. Treating her injury, Kate stayed by her side, refusing to leave even when guards suggested she rest. The wound was serious, but Zalorian medicine was advanced. The greater concern was the effect on the pregnancy scans showed the child was stressed but stable for now. As Zara recovered, reports came in from across the empire. The rebellion had spread to several provinces, but the majority of the military remained loyal to the princess. The capital was in chaos with fighting in the streets. The High Council had been evacuated to a secure location. While Drek claimed the throne, his support was limited mostly to conservative factions and religious extremists. For 2 weeks, Zara directed her forces from the mountain facility, slowly regaining control of key regions. Kate continued to monitor the pregnancy, ensuring that the stress and injury had not caused lasting damage. The child showed remarkable resilience, another sign of the successful integration of human adaptive genetics. One night, as Kate checked Zara's vital signs, the princess took her hand. "You risked your life for me and my child," she said softly. Why? Kate considered the question. Her feelings for Zara had grown complicated over the months they had spent together. What had begun as a scientific challenge and then a friendship had become something more. Something she had no name for. "I believe in what we are doing," she replied. "Your child represents hope, not just for your people, but for the possibility of our species working together, learning from each other. The narrow vision of people like Drek would keep us separate and suspicious of one another. That's not the future I want to see." Zara smiled, her violet eyes bright. "In the dim light of the medical chamber, I feel the same way," she said. Then after a pause, she added, "I have come to care for you, Kate Miller, more than I expected, more than might be wise, given our different worlds." Kate felt her heart beat faster. Zara was not just a princess or a scientific partner, she had become someone deeply important to her. "I care for you too," she admitted, however complicated that makes things. The next morning, news arrived that changed everything. The royal forces had captured Drek and most of the rebel leadership. The fighting was subsiding as the people's support for their pregnant princess grew. Citizens had taken to the streets in support of Zara, seeing her innovative approach to saving their species as a sign of strength rather than weakness. The combination of royal authority and scientific progress had powerful appeal, especially to younger Zalorians. A week later, Zara was strong enough to return to the capital. The princess made a triumphant entry, her injury visible but healing her pregnancy. Now obvious to all, Kate rode beside her in the royal transport, amazed at the cheering crowds. The majority of Zalorians, it seemed, had accepted the idea of a hybrid child, especially after scientists confirmed that the approach might help address the wider fertility crisis. In a public ceremony, Zara pardoned many of the rebels, offering reconciliation rather than revenge. Only Drek and his inner circle, who had committed violence against the crown, would face severe punishment. The princess' speech emphasized unity and progress, promising a new era for the Zalorian people. The remaining months of the pregnancy passed with relative peace. Kate continued her work developing treatments that might help other Zalorians with fertility issues. The success of the royal pregnancy had opened new possibilities for genetic research. Delegations from Earth arrived, bringing scientists eager to learn and collaborate. The relationship between humans and Zalorians grew stronger as both species recognized the benefits of working together. The procedure took place in a chamber deep beneath the royal palace. The walls were lined with crystals that hummed with energy as the second moon reached its apex in the night sky. Kate had spent days preparing the genetic material, a carefully modified combination of human and Zalorian DNA sequenced to address the specific mutations in Zara's reproductive system. The process was unlike anything in human medicine, relying on energy fields and quantum interactions as much as biological components. Zara lay on a crystal platform wearing a simple white robe. Her silver skin glowed with an inner light, her royal markings pulsing in rhythm with the humming crystals. Kate stood nearby, monitoring the equipment, while 3 trusted Zalorian physicians assisted them. No one else knew about the procedure. The princess had sworn everyone to secrecy, knowing that if word reached the High Council before they could prove success, her enemies would use it against her. Kate activated the sequence. She had programmed the chamber filled with blue light as the modified genetic material, suspended in a field of energy, began to flow toward the princess. The Zalorian physicians chanted in their musical language, creating sound patterns that Kate had learned were essential to their medical procedures. The human scientist watched the displays, carefully adjusting parameters as needed. This was the moment of truth, the culmination of weeks of intense work. The procedure lasted 3 hours, during which Zara remained conscious but in a meditative state. When the final sequence completed, the princess opened her eyes and looked at Kate. "Did it work?" she asked, her voice weak from the strain. "It's too soon to know for certain," Kate replied honestly, "but everything went according to plan. The genetic material was successfully introduced and the energy patterns were stable. We need to wait for your body to respond." For the next 7 days, Zara remained in isolation in her private chambers, with only Kate and the trusted physicians allowed to visit her. The princess experienced several days of fever as her body adapted to the changes. Her skin sometimes glowed with unusual patterns that concerned the Zalorian doctors, but Kate assured them it was part of the integration process. The human genetic material was teaching Zara's body new ways to adapt and heal. On the 8th day, the senior physician performed a scan that confirmed what Kate had hoped for. The procedure had worked. Zara was pregnant. The modified genetic material had successfully initiated the reproductive process. The physician, a female Zalorian who had served the royal family for 3 generations, stared at the results in disbelief. "This is unprecedented," she whispered, her long fingers tracing the patterns on the display. "This child will be something new." Zara wept with joy when she heard the news, holding Kate's hands tightly. "You have saved me," she told the human. "You have given me hope when I had none. I will forever be in your debt." The High Council meeting took place the following day. Zara attended looking regal and confident, though only Kate knew how nervous she truly was. The princess announced that she had undergone a new treatment to address her condition, and was now expecting an heir. The council chamber erupted in surprise and questions. Many counselors expressed joy and relief, while others, particularly those allied with Zara's cousin Drek, looked suspicious and concerned. When one counselor asked about the nature of the treatment, Zara spoke carefully. "I worked with our best physicians to develop a new approach," she said. "It was successful. That is all that matters. The child will be born in 7 months' time, and the royal line will continue." Most of the council accepted this explanation, but Drek and his supporters demanded more details. Zara maintained her composure, revealing nothing about the human involvement. After hours of debate, the council officially recognized her pregnancy and her right to remain heir to the throne. Drek left the chamber in obvious anger, his plans to take power temporarily thwarted. That evening, as Kate and Zara celebrated their victory in private, the princess received a message from one of her spies. Drek was investigating the treatment, suspecting something unusual. He had ordered his followers to monitor the human delegation, particularly Kate. "We need to be careful," Zara told Kate. "If they discover the truth about the child's heritage, they will use it against us. There are those who would rather see the royal line end than be changed." Kate felt a chill at these words. She had been focused on the scientific challenge, not fully appreciating the political dangers they faced. "You said the child will be born in 7 months, she said. "Human pregnancies take 9 months. Is the Zalorian gestation period shorter?" Zara nodded. "Our reproductive process is more efficient than humans," she explained. "But this pregnancy may be different, since it contains human genetic material. We must be prepared for variations from normal Zalorian development As." The weeks passed. Kate continued to monitor Zara's condition. The pregnancy progressed well, though with some unique characteristics. The child was developing faster than a human fetus but slower than a typical Zalorian one. The energy signatures that the physicians measured showed patterns never seen before, a blend of both species that fascinated the doctors. Kate and Zara spent more time together as the pregnancy advanced. The princess insisted that Kate remain on Zaloria until the birth, both for medical reasons and for companionship. Their friendship deepened as they shared more of their lives and thoughts. Zara taught Kate the ancient songs of her people while Kate introduced the princess to earth music and literature. They created a unique cultural blend, just as they had created a unique life. 3 months into the pregnancy, news leaked to the public. The common people celebrated their princess fertility, seeing it as a sign of renewed hope for their species. But in the shadows, Drek supporters spread rumors questioning the nature of the pregnancy. Some even suggested that Zara had used forbidden technology or dark science to create an unnatural child. The situation grew more dangerous when one of the Zalorian physicians who had assisted with the procedure disappeared. Kate later learned he had been captured by Drek's people and forced to reveal what he knew. The truth about the human genetic contribution to the royal heir began to spread among the upper classes of Zalorian society. Zara faced the crisis with dignity, calling a special session of the High Council to address the rumors. She admitted that the child carried a small amount of human genetic material, but presented it as a scientific breakthrough that would benefit all Zalorians. "The solution to our declining fertility may lie in careful genetic diversity," she told the council. "This child represents the future not just for the royal line but potentially for our entire species." The council was divided. Some members saw the wisdom in Zara's words, while others considered it blasphemy against their genetic purity. The debate raged for days while, outside the palace, both supporters and protesters gathered. The empire teetered on the edge of crisis, as the issue of genetic purity versus survival became the central question. During this tumultuous time, Kate found herself the target of threats and harassment. Drek supporters viewed her as a contaminant, a lesser being who had tainted their royal bloodline. Zara assigned personal guards to protect the human scientist, but Kate still felt unsafe whenever she left her chambers. The most difficult challenge came when Earth officials learned about Kate's involvement in the Zalorian pregnancy. A diplomatic mission arrived from Earth demanding to know why human genetic material had been used without proper authorization and consultation. The Earth representatives feared the technology could be used to create biological weapons or to manipulate human genetics without consent. Kate found herself caught between two worlds. The Zalorians viewed her as either a savior or a villain, depending on their politics, while her own people treated her with suspicion, questioning her loyalty and ethics. Only Zara truly understood her position, and the princess stood firmly by her side, defending Kate's actions. To both the Zalorian Council and the Earth delegation, "We acted out of necessity, not malice." Zara explained to the human diplomats, "Kate Miller has given my people hope for our future. What she has done may save not just the royal line but our entire species from eventual extinction. The day of the birth approached as all 3 moons of Zaloria aligned in a rare configuration that happened only once every 30 years. The palace prepared for the historic event Zalorian tradition held, that children born during the 3-moon alignment were destined for greatness. Kate found herself caught up in the excitement, despite her scientific skepticism about such beliefs. The royal medical chamber was prepared with both traditional Zalorian birth elements and modifications based on Kate's recommendations. The hybrid nature of the child meant that they could not be certain exactly how the birth would proceed. Medical teams stood ready for any possibility. The entire empire waited for news while delegations from Earth and other allied species sent representatives to mark the occasion. The labor began as the first moon reached its apex. Kate stayed at Zara's side throughout the process, offering both medical expertise and personal support. The princess displayed remarkable strength enduring the intense process without complaint. The Zalorian birth ritual involved not just physical labor, but a spiritual component as well, with priestesses chanting ancient songs to guide the new life into the world. After 7 hours of labor, the child was born as all 3 moons perfectly aligned in the night sky. Their combined light created a rare silver beam that shone through the crystal ceiling of the birth chamber, illuminating the newborn. The child had silver skin like her mother, but with subtle differences in tone and texture. Her tiny body glowed with faint markings that would one day become the elaborate patterns of royalty. But most striking were her eyes. When she opened them, they were neither Zalorian violet, nor fully human, but a deep brown with flecks of purple, a perfect blend of both species. The room fell silent as the head physician examined the child, then broke into a smile. "Healthy," she announced. "The first hybrid child in known history, and she is perfect." Zara held her daughter, tears of joy streaming down her face. The tiny girl looked up at her mother, making soft sounds that were neither human nor Zalorian, but something uniquely her own. Kate watched the scene, feeling overwhelming emotion. This child represented not just a scientific breakthrough, but a new beginning for 2 species. The news spread quickly throughout the empire and across the stars. The birth of a healthy hybrid child challenged fundamental assumptions about genetic compatibility between species. On Earth, scientists and theologians debated the implications, while ordinary people were simply amazed by the images transmitted from Zaloria. 1 week after the birth, a formal naming ceremony took place in the Grand Palace Hall. According to Zalorian tradition, the child received her official name in front of representatives from all 50 worlds of the Empire. The ceremony was broadcast to Earth as well, allowing humans to witness the historic moment. Zara stood before her people, the child in her arms, Kate at her side. "By ancient right, I name this child Lyra," she announced. The word meant light from darkness in both Zalorian and several human languages. She will be heir to the throne and a bridge between our worlds. The High Council officially recognized Lyra as royal heir, though some conservative members still expressed concerns about her mixed heritage. Most, however, had come to see the advantages the genetic innovation offered, particularly as early tests showed the child possessed enhanced abilities. Her hybrid nature gave her strengths from both species. As Kate observed Lyra's development over the following months, she was amazed at how quickly the child progressed. By 3 months, she could already focus with remarkable intensity and showed signs of advanced cognitive development. The medical team monitored her carefully, documenting every aspect of her growth for scientific understanding. The success of Lyra's birth led to a new era of cooperation between humans and Zalorians. Kate's approach was adapted to help other Zalorians with fertility issues. Exchange programs brought scientists from both worlds together to explore further possibilities. Earth benefited from Zalorian technology, while the aliens gained from human genetic diversity and adaptability. 6 months after the birth, Kate faced a difficult decision. Her official mission on Zaloria was complete. Earth authorities expected her to return home. She had become a celebrity on her home planet, with research institutions and companies offering prestigious positions. The knowledge she had gained would advance human science by decades, but leaving meant abandoning Zara and Lyra. The bond between Kate and the princess had grown stronger each day. They had not put a name to their relationship, but both knew it was deep and meaningful. And Kate had come to love little Lyra, watching her grow and develop, feeling a parental connection that surprised her in its intensity. The night before her scheduled departure, Kate stood on the palace balcony, looking up at the 3 moons. Zara joined her. The princess had just put Lyra to bed and looked tired but content. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, before Zara spoke. "Must you return to Earth?" she asked, her voice soft. Kate sighed. "I have responsibilities there. My research team, my family, they expect me back." The diplomatic agreement only allowed for a temporary assignment. Zara turned to face Kate, her violet eyes reflecting the moonlight. "I have been thinking," she said. "We have changed so much already. The genetic boundaries between our species, the political structures of my empire, the relationship between our worlds. Perhaps we could change one thing more." Kate waited, uncertain what the princess meant. "Stay," Zara said simply, "not as a visiting scientist or diplomatic envoy, but permanently, as Lyra's other parent, and as my consort." Kate felt her heart skip. The implications were enormous. Human had ever been offered such a position. The political complications would be substantial, but looking into Zara's eyes, she knew what her answer would be. What would that mean exactly? She asked. "It would mean creating a new future together," Zara replied, "one step at a time. There is no precedent for this, but my people are beginning to understand that sometimes we must create new paths where none existed before." Later that week, in another historic ceremony, Kate officially accepted the position of royal consort. The diplomatic corps from Earth attended, looking both stunned and impressed. The human ambassador expressed concerns about divided loyalties, but ultimately recognized that Kate's presence in the Zalorian court would benefit Earth, as well strengthening the alliance between the species. The years that followed brought many changes to both worlds. Lyra grew into a remarkable child with the height and strength of the Zalorians, but human emotional depth and adaptability. By age 5, she could speak 4 languages and showed talent in both science and art. She became a symbol of what was possible when different species worked together rather than remaining separate. Kate established a research institute that brought together scientists from multiple worlds. Their work led to breakthroughs in genetics, medicine, and environmental science. Zara supported these initiatives, using royal resources to fund promising projects that benefited all species. The Zalorian birth rate began to stabilize as treatments developed from Kate's approach became widely available. 10 years after Lyra's birth, the once radical idea of genetic sharing between species had become accepted throughout much of the galaxy. Other hybrid children were born, though none with quite the same historical significance as the Princess Zara had succeeded her mother as Empress, with Kate as her official consort. Their unique partnership inspired changes in how species interacted across known space. Kate sometimes missed Earth, especially the simple farm where she had grown up. But her home was now among the stars. She had not only saved a royal bloodline, but changed the course of interstellar relations forever. The human scientist and the alien princess had created a new future together, proving that sometimes the greatest strength comes from unexpected places. One evening, as Zara and Kate watched 15-year-old Lyra playing in the palace gardens with friends from various worlds, the Empress took her consort's hand. "This is more than I ever imagined possible," she said. "When I was told I could never have a child," Kate smiled, looking at their daughter, who combined the best of both their species in ways they were still discovering. "I came to your world to solve a scientific problem," she replied. "I never expected to find a home, a family, and a purpose greater than anything I could have imagined on Earth." Lyra noticed them watching and waved, her royal markings glowing in the twilight. Her brown eyes with purple flecks sparkled with intelligence and curiosity. She was neither human nor Zalorian, but something new, something that represented the future. As the 3 moons rose once again in the purple sky, Kate reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment. A simple research project had led to a transformation that spanned worlds and species. It had taken courage to cross boundaries that everyone thought were fixed and unchangeable. But in doing so, they had discovered that the universe held more possibilities than anyone had imagined. Perhaps that was the greatest lesson of all. That barriers existed mainly in the mind, that with courage and vision and love, even the stars themselves could be bridges rather than boundaries.